Heather, probably it's worth starting with, what are you as a functional nutritional therapy practitioner? Can you share with us a little bit about who you work with and what you do?
Yeah, so I work with mainly women, people that are struggling with symptoms of toxicity. So I actually work for one of the leading experts on toxicity and detox, Dr. Pompa, and I help people that are struggling with anything from heavy metals to parasites and pathogens, which is kind of what we're here today to talk about.
Brilliant. Yeah, and I have certainly really enjoyed working with you as my coach. While I'm a health coach, I also recognize that I need coach sometimes. And, in my blog, I share about wanting to ensure that my body was parasite free, wanting to heal my gut. And, you know, it's really been a journey and a learning curve with me. And it's been fantastic to have you by my side in terms of your deep knowledge of this subject. Um, so one of the questions that came through really was about, would it be possible to deal with a parasite if you have one with the cleanse? And indeed, what additional thing does the cleanse offer? If you're able to get the medication over the counter, what are you getting above and beyond that with the cleanse program you dedicate for something like 6 weeks, as I did?
Yeah, that's a good question because it seems like it would be so much easier, right, to just go to the pharmacy and buy that, $12, $20 bottle. The thing is with that, it's only really available for like pinworms, or that's all I've seen it for. So if you know that you just want to acutely, you have an acute pinworm infection, or like your kids have been exposed at school or something like that, if you get it right away, that can be a solution. The issue is that it's not preventative of you getting reinfected. It doesn't address the why of why you got infected to begin with. A lot of times it has more to do with the habitat and the inner terrain. So healing that gut and making sure that you're not going to get infected again by having enough stomach acid. So with a program, or if you're working with a parasite practitioner, it's interesting to say that, but somebody who's going to help you work through this, you address it as a more holistic approach. And then the herbs themselves are just as effective. I can actually share my screen right now. Herbs is actually just as effective. So it shows here a recent study in this journal showed wormwood reduced dwarf tapeworm levels in a similar way as a leading antiparasitic medication in animal studies. These results are promising, but the researchers call for more tests. And then again in 2018, humans found that wormwood could treat schistomiasis, which occurs in people with a type of parasitic worms, as effectively as the standard medical treatment. Knowing that these things are herbs are just as effective, if not more, then here it's like they cleared the infection faster than people who took the medication. So when you take that into consideration, and then you realize that it's not just about taking a drug or an herb. You kind of have to take that holistic approach so that you don't get reinfected.
The question also was asked of, could you just follow a cleanse that you can buy, in a pharmacy? What would you say to that in terms of buying one of these off the shelf type cleanses rather than working with a coach?
Yeah, and it almost is the same issue, right? Like you're not addressing the stomach acid, you're not addressing the enzymes and the bile and everything else that's going on. So usually by the time people have a lot of parasites in them, they have all these other kind of issues that are resulting in the parasites, but you got to look upstream, as my mentor, Dr. Pompa, always says, look upstream and go to the root. So a lot of times too with parasites, people have a heavy metals issue that the body, this is one theory anyways, that the body will allow some parasites in to take the burden of the heavy metals off of the cells. So your body will say, like, let that parasite be there. We won't attack, the immune system won't attack it and kill it, remove it, because it will absorb like 10 times its weight in heavy metals. So oftentimes too, when you're killing, parasites, you're releasing all of these metals too into the bloodstream, and it can be pretty intense. So you don't want to just buy like an over-the-counter box kit or something like that. You don't know the quality of those herbs. how long they've been sitting on the shelf and things like that. And the combinations may just not be appropriate for you as an individual person with your own unique biology.
Yeah, and that's where I personally find that having you by my side, being able to sort of share symptoms that I was going through the cleanse, really set my mind at ease. And obviously, you were listening to that and adjusting my protocol appropriately. And I personally would definitely recommend working with someone that knows what they're talking about in this space. Another question that came was related to, you've mentioned already about the lifestyle. It's a holistic approach where you look at not only the herbs you're taking, but your diet, how you're eating. And you do recommend eating more towards a keto style of eating. Can you talk to that in terms of how that supports the cleanse?
Yeah, so parasites love to eat things like pizza and bread and muffins and sugar and ice cream and things like that, even like kombucha sugar. They will eat fruit if that's what you're eating. They basically are very resilient. And so you want to remove as many sources of their food as you possibly can. And I've done both. There's a lot of people that are proponents of doing like a raw vegan approach to parasite cleansing. And I've done it that way. And I've also done it with ketogenic. And they're both really effective. It just depends on the person. And overall, I'm also, being a nutritional therapist, very like much an advocate for overall having an approach to nutrition that's sustainable and that's nutrient dense and that is going to like fuel this person beyond just the cleanse. So considering the fact that both cleanses will starve the parasites, you're removing all those breads and pastas and cookies and sugars, like I said. So when it gets down to a matter of like fruits, veggies, and meat and fat and what ratios, it's kind of about like which one is going to be more nutrient dense going forward for the person undergoing the cleanse. And I've just found that, and if you are vegan, you can still totally do this cleanse. And that's why I make them basically like unique to each person that I work with. But, bone broth and things like that can just drive more nutrients into the body and upregulate the immune system and things like that. So I found it really effective to use a ketogenic approach or a high fat paleo diet.
Yeah, and in my eating style, because I do lean towards more of the cardio type activity, I find that doing the cleanse during quarantine time here, where I haven't been sticking to my same sort of regime of workouts, was helpful for me because I didn't feel that I needed as much carbs as I might take normally. And I have a relatively healthy style of eating, although we can always do better. My business name, Your Healthier Lifestyle, I felt like, health is a journey. It's not a destination. This was the next step for me. It's something that I've wanted to do for a couple of years. I'm going to wrap up there. I would encourage people to read my blog if you haven't done so already. Heather's website is linked in there. If you want to tell us how we can follow you as well. Heather.
My Instagram is at micronourished, so MICRO nourished, and then my website is micronourishedlife.com. And I also have a private Facebook group called the Detox Society, so if you go and add yourself there, I will add you.
And we have a full moon coming up soon. It's the 5th of July, is it?
Yeah, July 5th. So this is a really good time to start taking herbs. Even if you're totally new to this and you're not ready to like dive into the kind of cleanse that Roberta did, with 8 weeks of herbs and diet, you could just pick up a bottle of like black wormwood, walnut, and clove tincture from your local Whole Foods or health food store and start taking it right now before the full moon. It's the best time for you to start addressing parasites because it's when they supposedly reproduce.
Yeah, it's a fascinating field. I've really learned a lot and have the confidence now myself to move forward. I'm in your private group, but it's great support there. I would encourage anybody to reach out to you to do that, to get a feel for how you work and how you respond to comments. Now, I addressed that this had been part of my healthier lifestyle in terms of my next step. So with that theme in mind, as we close, is there something that you can share with us that that's the next step in your healthier lifestyle, Heather, that you might want to, because we're all, you know, on that journey of the next step. If you'd like to share with our viewers.
Yeah, so it's funny. My friend Diane Kaiser, who's also in the space, she always has a saying, ABC, always be cleansing, and I totally like live by that. I'm always cleansing. You don't always have to be, but just because I, try to live it to lead it. One thing that I have up and coming right now in this next week or two, well, this week I'm doing the full moon cleanse as always. Every single month I cleanse parasites on the full moon. But next week, after that's finished, I'm going to embark on a medical medium 369 cleanse. So that's next down the pipe for me. And
Oh,
that's just going to be like a lot of fruits, veggies, juicing. So right now I'm already preparing for that by starting to add in more. Like I'm doing celery juice every morning, cucumber juice, things like that, smoothies, which coming from like a high fat paleo, I wasn't really eating a whole lot of fruit. And I'm transitioning now so that next week when I make the full jump, it will be seamless.
fantastic. Well, I'm sure you'll take us along on that journey with you through your social media outlets. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you again for, you know, the journey that we've had together. And thank you for responding to the comments.
Yeah, thank you so much. And if anybody in here wants to do the full moon cleanse, hop in my Detox Society group. There's a PDF in that group that's completely free. Anyone can do it, and it will walk you through exactly, the diet and the herbs to do for the full moon. And it's super easy. It's like less than $10 for the herbs that you need. So,
Awesome. All right. See you later. Bye.
so much.